So today we are super excited to be welcoming Chris Matthews to the show.
Hello.
It's so great to have you here. So we missed you at Americana Fest, but then we were lucky enough to see you in Montreal at the Folk Alliance. So we
Yeah.
are thrilled to have you. Tell us where you're coming to us from today.
I am coming to you from my living room. Actually, made it back home to Nashville today. I drove overnight from New Orleans to Nashville. So,
Oh my gosh. How long of a drive?
oh, it's like 7 hours and 45
Okay.
minutes.
That's
Played the
not
show last
terrible.
night. Yeah, like jumped in the car, made it to Alabama, slept a little bit, and then finished the rest of the drive today.
Oh
Yay.
wow. Well, yeah, we're Midwesterners,
Yeah.
so we're like
Oh, 7 hours. That's not
7 hours
bad.
isn't
Yeah.
bad.
That's
Yeah.
how it works.
Oh my goodness. So the first thing I want to ask is, how did you get started in this career? What led you to music?
So music has kind of always been a part of my life. I'm a preacher's kid, so I grew up in the AME church. So like gospel music was my first love. Playing and singing songs in church. And then when I was in sixth grade, I started playing in band. I played clarinet and just fell in love with music in that capacity and was like pretty sure I was going to be a high school band director. So that's what I went to school for. Like, had no designs of being a songwriter, didn't play guitar. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a high school band director. Like, that was it. Like, nobody could have told me otherwise. And then when I was in college, my roommate at the time, who was also in the School of Music, who was a percussionist, she had a band, and this one night they needed a fill-in keyboard player for the band. And of course, being a former PK, preacher's kid, my chops on the keys were decent. Like somebody's got to fill in for the church lady when she calls in. And so I told her I would be able to help get her through the gig, and she said, "Okay, great. And you also have to sing one song, was Tell Me Something Good." And I was like, "Okay, great, no problem. I can sing. Like I don't sing, but I can sing." And it was just the night of my life. I had the absolute best time. Went home, wrote my first song on keys, and entered it into the campus talent show. Won first place, which was like $500, which is
Mm.
like I think $2 million is like the college conversion rate on that.
Yes, for
Yeah.
And
sure.
yeah, like the rest is history. Just fell in love with being able to tell stories and process big emotions and big feelings in that way, and have been writing songs ever since.
Love it. And
Yes,
you
very
have
cool.
several albums, but your
I
latest
do.
album, Reclamation, just came out. Tell us
Yep.
like how that came to be. What went into all of the making of that?
Yeah, so Reclamation is my 10th album. So that was quite a big milestone for me, personally and professionally. And this is my first album that was recorded here in Nashville, which is where I live
Mm.
now. I was born and raised in southeastern North Carolina, lived in DC for a little while, but Nashville has been home for me for about 3 years now. And it's such a wonderful place to call home as a songwriter and as a musician. And so it just meant a lot to be able to actually record down here. And it was amazing. We had so many incredible women working on the project. There were only two guys involved in the project, the producer and one of the alternate bass players, and that was it. Like everybody else was just all of these amazing women. So that was very cool. It was like very atypical of what is so often considered the Nashville
Mm.
experience. So, from top to bottom with the album, there's so much intentionality put into every little facet of it, like even with choices like who's actually playing on the album. So yeah, it's amazing. I'm so proud of it. It came out January 17th. It's been getting really, really great response, which has made me very happy, especially in this political climate, because it
Yes.
is
Absolutely.
just laden with social justice music, which is what I mostly do. So it's been really wonderful to know that those songs are helping so many folks and doing some good right now.
Us
Absolutely.
included in
Yes,
this. And I
absolutely.
saw that it's for pre-order on your website for vinyl, and we're vinyl collectors.
Like,
We are so
Nice.
stoked. So I will be putting in my order
Very
shortly.
yes,
good.
as will I.
To what you said about social justice and that kind of thing, because a lot of your music is a fantastic avenue for that. And also you use your music as such a vehicle for empowerment for women and people of color and just anyone who might be marginalized.
Yeah.
And you also use it as a way of inclusion. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think music is kind of this really unique superpower and secret weapon. So many times, these really hard conversations that we need to be having right now, it's just so hard for us to have them, just talking to each other one on one. But somebody will sit through like a 3.5 minute song, even if it's about a thing that makes them horribly uncomfortable. And so being able to kind of wield that weapon very well is a thing that feels really important right now in this climate where it has gotten so very difficult for people to just remember how to talk to one another. And so I kind of try to take the approach of compassionate dissent. It is a thing that Justin Pearson, one of the Tennessee Three, talked about in his Easter sermon a couple of years back. He talked about active witness, being an active witness, and that it's not a weak witness. It is just an active witness. And so I kind of try to use my music in that way to have these really difficult conversations in a way that allows people to not just be called out, but to then also be called in. Because the hope is to just continue broadening that tent. Like there just are not enough of us in this fight right
100%.
now. We definitely need more. And so if a song can bring somebody else to that table and open their horizon in a way that maybe a normal conversation hasn't been able to do, that's some good trouble right there.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
right. I did too. And I was going to say, and I mean, it's the soundtrack for right now.
yeah,
Like it is. So we are lucky to have you and have your lyrics and your music. And
amazing voice out
yes,
there. Not just your singing voice, but your voice in general.
yes,
As
Thank you so much.
a creative person
yep,
who inspires other creative people like
yes,
us to keep writing and keep doing stuff too,
yep,
and get out there and be a voice.
yes. So thinking on those lines, like as the creative and as being that voice, how do you stay like mentally and physically well in this
Mm,
time?
Gosh, such a great question. Gosh, I will say one of the things that helps me stay relatively hopeful, which is I think what is also required in this time. The hope is such a really important part of the resistance of everything else, is just getting to go into all of these communities and see all of these people trying so hard and so fired up and so passionate about trying to make this world a better place. It's really hard not to be hopeful when you go to places like LaGrange, Texas, and sing social justice music to a room full of people who are like, yeah, when they're singing along with cancel culture. It's like, it's really hard not to feel like we're going to be okay. I'm in LaGrange. I think we're going to be all right. So that is definitely one thing that has helped me. I'm very fortunate. I have two incredible partners who keep me loved up. I have a mom who prays over me more than anything else in this world. And all of those things kind of help almost feel like armor to be able to get out there and do this work. It would just be so easy as a person who is thrice marginalized to just kind of throw up my hands and be like, somebody else can do it. I'm sitting this one out. I'm tired. I am beyond tired. But those people in my life, they definitely help make it a little easier to get out there and do this work. And as my ancestors say, keep my eyes on the prize, so that we can continue to move that needle ever forward.
Absolutely. And
Perfect.
that's exactly what we need right now is people just not feeling that hope, even in this
Yes.
desperate time. It's very hard to do, but I agree with you. Music
Yeah.
is the avenue that I've at least fallen back on,
Yep.
just listening to folks like you and, giving me that hope. Like the roll up your sleeves song
Oh,
is
Yeah.
an
yeah.
anthem, my friend.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Down. That's what I go to
Yep.
because it just
Oh, I
makes
love
me get
that.
that little fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Well, and to hear you say that too about LaGrange, I'm like, there are more of us than there are
yeah.
of people out there hating. That
Yes.
that brings that hope for me.
Yeah.
So thank you
Yes.
again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's you.
Oh no, I thought that was my question. Sorry, we kind of trade off here. Okay, well, let's talk about your writing process. So when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
writing a song, what comes first for you? Is it lyrics? Is it melody? Is it kind of both?
It is definitely, as we say down south, it is six of one, half a dozen of the other for sure. Half the time, I'll get just like this little riff. The other day on my Patreon, I actually went through and shared like an 8-step process between when I first was standing in the shower and like heard this little thing, came out, hummed it on my phone, and then shared like each moment afterwards of the building of the song. So sometimes it'll be that. Sometimes a little riff will just get stuck in my head and I just can't stop playing it or can't stop humming it and then just start start building something around that. But so sometimes it's just a free ride of getting out all the angst and the rage and figuring out what should this one sound like. So it kind of happens both ways for me.
Love it.
It's like
I
magic.
was just going to say the same thing. I'm going to say the same things at the same time. It happens.
Yeah, finish each other's sentences a lot. What's the hardest part about being a musician?
The hardest part about being a musician, my goodness, all of the work that is not related to just being on the stage singing songs. As an indie musician, I wear so many other hats. I am fortunate enough to have a booking agent, but I don't have a manager. And so, like, all of those other administrative tasks and very tedious things, that it is so hard doing all of that stuff. And then also writing, and then also learning the songs, and also being prepared to go play them and keep your merch in stock and like all of that other stuff. So that for me, that's the hardest part, is all of the admin stuff, all of the stuff
Yeah.
that isn't just the fun part of getting to share your songs and stories and connect with people.
Well, and who knew even like 10, 15 years ago that it was going to be, oh, I have to put up everything on my social media and I have to, I
Yep.
mean, it's
Yeah.
all it's all encompassing, I'm
We
sure.
talked about this last
Yes,
night
it
with
is
our
a lot of
guest
work.
too. Yeah, we talked about this too, about the business part of it. It's
Yeah.
kind of that, I would rather do the creative part. Why do I have to do the business? Well, if you don't do the
Yes,
business, you can't do the creative.
Right.
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
So when you're writing a song and you get stuck, how do you get unstuck?
Ooh. Hmm. Well, sometimes just walking away from it is a good way to get unstuck. If you s- because because the songwriting for me is always very therapeutic, I tend to write very linearly. And so if I come to a point in the song where like I just can't get that next lyric, it's hard for me not to just fixate and just fixate and fixate and fixate.
Yep.
And so sometimes just walking away from it and just clearing my brain and thinking about something else is a good way to just help. Just leave it alone. Just leave it
Yeah.
alone for a little bit and come back to it.
I like that because like when I'm writing and I get stuck like that and I keep going over it, then it becomes something entirely different than I wanted it to be. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not where I started. So
Do you ever feel like you can abandon a song midway, or you just go, I'm done with
Oof.
this?
It's hard for me to do that. I have some that just because I drive so much, so often I'll just be driving and like a little nugget will fly in, and so I'll just voice to text or hum it into my little app, recording app. And so there are all of these little snippets around, but if I have sat down with the intention of finishing this song, it is very hard for me to just leave it. It's really hard for me to do that.
I can see that. Yep.
Yeah, we,
Yep.
we're on the lyricist side of everything, and
Yep.
we're learning the music part. But we're the same, where we get to the
That's
point where it's just
hard.
like, I want to finish this because I sat here and I worked on it this
Yes.
long, but then I go, I kind of hate this.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to finish.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It gets to
Yeah.
that ugly phase before it gets to the like pretty phase. And I'm like, I hate it. So
Yeah.
totally get it.
Okay, well, I know you've got this new album that just came out a couple months ago. What's next for you? What are you working on, or what's in progress right now?
Yeah.
Touring, all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, just working like crazy. I just got home today and go back out in a couple of days. But yeah, the album came out January 17th, and then Sleeves Up, the single, came out January 20th, which, you know, is a perk to not having a manager, because I'm sure a manager would have been like, you absolutely cannot release a brand new single 3 days after your new album comes out. But I was like, I do what I want. So,
Absolutely.
so just going out there, working hard, trying to keep folks fired up, keeping folks inspired, going into all of these communities that so often people don't think are safe to go into. My booking agent is amazing. She's so on board with the mission of what it is that I do. And so I kind of sat her down right after the election and was like, listen, we're not going to keep going to the Northeast. Like, we are going to go up there because we love them, but I'm going to need to go to Texas. I'm going to
Yeah.
need to go to Oklahoma. I'm going to need to go to Arkansas. And so just putting intentionality into the work in a different way. There is certainly a benefit to keeping the folks, people always ask, like when you sing social justice music and you're at the Unitarian church, they're like, but does it do any good if you're just preaching to the choir? And as my very good friend Dave Gunning says, I'm preaching to the choir to sing it louder. And so there
Yeah.
is a place and a need for that as well. But there is such a substantial need to go into so many of those red places, those deep, deep red places where the people just don't match the politics, but don't get a chance to actually engage in any kind of meaningful way with some of these ideas that are so far removed from their daily lives. And so I'm working really hard this year to put a lot of intention into that work because it's just so needed right now. It's just so needed.
Yeah.
I cannot love that more. And we would love to have you in Omaha, Nebraska.
We'll take you anytime.
Place.
Oh, yeah.
We've got all of our representatives are, on the red side. And it's very hard when you're so on the other side to live in a state. And we're constantly calling our representatives and doing what we can, but it's like, well, we always need
the amplification of the voice. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that.
Yep. Yeah. So I forgot what I was going to ask you. I was like, I'm going to ask you this. And then it went right out of my head. So hold on, let me look at my cheat sheet, which is, I know what it was. So for listeners who have not heard your music, how would you describe it? And on that vein, do you think genre is really even an important part of a conversation anymore?
I mean, I think to some degree it is, just as far as, I guess, maybe managing a listener's expectations. I guess that's really kind of the only thing. I think industry wise, it's not as important as it used to be. But for folks who are like, I'm a big fan of folk music, and then to be able to be like, well, here's some good folk music for you, I think that can be helpful sometimes. But as far as it's interesting, it's kind of a dichotomy in a way. I think that, and then I also am somebody who just writes the song how it sounds and lets it come out how it comes out. And so, there's a song like Sister's Keeper, which doesn't necessarily sound like a folk or Americana song at all. It's a little close to being kind of rocking. On the same album with a song like Waking Up the Dead, which very much feels like a bluegrass song. And so I think that genre is a thing that is helpful for people. I think that we are moving away as a society and a culture from having it be the only thing that we allow to define the music. I think we're keeping ourselves a little bit less confined in general, unless of course you're Beyonce and then you're up against the entire racist establishment of country music, then that's a whole different conversation. But yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna piggyback on that. Like Americana is hard to even nail down anymore. I mean, Americana encompasses so much. And so that's totally true that genre when we were growing up, our mom listened to folk.
Yes.
A lot of folk, and that's kind of how we fell in love with it. But then when Americana came along, that's kind of, it encompasses folk. So it's kind of hard to nail down just a specific genre for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yes.
So I think I like to lean myself towards like the umbrella diagram. Folk is the giant umbrella. Underneath that, you have Americana, you have all of these other things, and then the subtext like that. So
I like it.
Yeah.
That works well. Yes.
Should we go to our
Sure.
Okay. So we have four questions we ask everyone on our show.
All right.
The first one is first gig and favorite or best gig so far.
So you talked a little about your first gig at the church, but what about like first gig on your own? Like, I'm a musician now. Yeah.
I think probably the first one where I actually felt like a musician. I played this little lesbian festival in DC. It was my first invitation to play a music festival, and it was Phase Fest. And I was very excited about it because someone who I actually had on my own iPod, who I was such a fan of, was also playing that festival. So that was like one of the first times that I was just like, oh, I'm a musician now. So that was probably one of the first ones. And probably the most memorable, most iconic. I mean, for me, getting to play Lincoln Center was just so incredible. Wow. I mean, I got to play in Lincoln Center as part of the New Song Finals, which was amazing, and I was very excited to get to do that. But then to be invited back as part of the American Songbook series, it just felt like such an arrival moment for me as an independent artist, as a folk artist, as somebody who sings social justice music. It definitely was just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. It was definitely one of the most memorable nights of my life, for sure.
Yay.
So far. I'm sure
so far. That's right.
So far, sure.
That's amazing. Okay. Who would you consider your influences?
Ooh, so many. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Sweet Honey in the Rock. Dr. Bernice Johnson Reagan, just an absolute change maker and luminary. Holly Near is an absolute hero to me. Of course, growing up as a teenager, listening to Tracy Chapman and Ani DeFranco and Melissa Etheridge and so many of those artists, but also being somebody who grew up in a household with a preacher for a mom. So many of those old soul singers also started in the gospel
Yeah.
community as well. So, we listened to a lot of Otis Redding and a lot of Sam Cooke and a lot of Aretha in my house as well. So it's kind of all over the map.
Love.
That makes an eclectic
It does.
singer or songwriter.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yep.
Okay, who right now or what are you listening to on repeat?
Ooh, okay. Well, that one is easy. So I'm definitely listening to my friend Kashana's music, her new album Legacy, listening to that so many times. She is who keeps my well filled up when I
Oh,
am
I love it.
struggling in this world. Definitely listening to a bunch of Kashana. My partner on and off stage, Heather May, she just had two brand new albums come out. So I'm
Yay.
listening to both of those. And I am a big Maren Morris fan. So I actually just started
Me
listening
too.
to her new ones that dropped today. So
So did I.
Yes.
I was like, oh, there it is on my release radar.
How do you spell Kishana? Because I want to look her up.
Yes.
yeah, so Kynshona, and
Okay.
her newest album is called Legacy, and it is just
Okay.
absolutely incredible.
Awesome.
Can't wait to
Awesome.
listen.
Yeah, I have a drive here in just a little bit, so I'm going to be listening to some
Oh,
music.
go.
yeah.
Perfect. Okay, what advice would you give to new songwriters or musicians?
Keep writing. Keep writing. I think in this time where there is just such an intense saturation of artists, it can be really hard for somebody just starting out to understand the necessity of why we need their art. And it can be a little bit overwhelming. But when I'm teaching social justice songwriting, one of the things I always say to folks is that sometimes the messenger matters even more than the message. And there will be songs that I will write that someone can't hear or receive, but maybe another artist writes a song about that same thing that absolutely cuts through and reaches that person. And so I would say to any new artist, just keep at it. This work is hard work. This job is oh so very challenging for so many reasons, but it is incredibly rewarding. And so stay the course. If you feel called to be in this work, stay the course. Stay the course.
Perfect advice.
Yes, fantastic. It's time for your shameless plug. We want to know where we can find your music, where
Yep.
I know you mentioned Patreon. Tell us a little bit about
Yes.
Bandcamp, anywhere you are, social media, all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am at Chris Matthews almost everywhere on the internet. You do have to spell it correctly, or you will end up at the hardball website, and I don't want that for anybody. It's just CRYS and Matthews with two T's. I'm on all of the social media channels, even on Blue Sky. I'm working on getting more active over there, but I am up there. Patreon, of course, also chrismatthews.com, YouTube, and everywhere that you get your music is easy to find me.
Yay.
Well, Chris,
Oh my gosh.
I cannot thank you enough. This has
No.
been absolutely uplifting
Yes.
and amazing. And your music is the same. And we're all our listeners out there, please go check her
Yes.
out because she is fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.
We're
Thank you
so glad.
the
Yeah.
hiccup.
Yes. Thank you for putting up with me and my team.
It's no problem.
Take a quick picture of all of us, if that's okay.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes. Let me just, as a side note, say that we are proponents of fluoride in the water because we grew up without it, and now I have
Yeah.
horrible teeth. And I'm like, and now
Yeah.
we're taking it out. What the?
I know. It's a crazy time. Crazy time.
It's absolutely crazy time. Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll let you know when this is going to
Yes.
come out
Okay.
and everything, and we'll be in touch.
Yes. And we'll be buying that vinyl
Yes.
very
Okay,
soon.
great. And I'll send you
Probably
the
like,
the link for the Dropbox so you have the album so you can just pick whatever you want to have
Yep.
and just have it to listen to too. So
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
We
you're
appreciate
so
Oh my gosh.
welcome.
Have an
Yes.
amazing weekend.
Yeah,
Yep.
thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. I got a little tickled in my throat. I was like, oh